Good morning, America. How are ya? Monday Morning Rail. Hi, I'm Denny Jelsma, and I'm at the world famous Jacksonville Terminal Railroad Museum in beautiful Jacksonville, Florida, where the sun always shines and running trains is an absolute pleasure. Today is Monday, and you know what we do on Monday? You guessed it. We do show and tell. Show and tell is always brought to you by Jelsma Graphics, the people that make all the embroidered railroad clothing. They have since 1985, serving railroads and rail fans throughout the United States. We have over 1,500 railroad logos that we could put on shirts, jackets, caps, you name it. Go to jelsma.com. And with all that being said, show and tell is going to start right now.
Miss Snow, you see, was sure to be the object of much curiosity, for day or night they're all polite upon the road of anthracite.
And number 2 is talking about the famous Phoebe Snow of the Lackawanna Railroad, the Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western. And that's what our show and tell is about today. It's really exciting because it brings back many, many memories for myself and also number 2. The Phoebe Snow was a very famous train that actually was named after Phoebe Snow. It's a fictitious person, and she wore white and in the advertisement because the train burned anthracite coal, which burns clean. And in the Lackawanna, Wyoming Valley of eastern Pennsylvania, that's where this anthracite coal is. Hard coal, burns clean, and it's just the only place in the whole world that has that kind of coal. And so the Lackawanna used that in their steam engines, and it burns so clean. The advertising department in the 20s came up, and what number 2 read was a poem, and like every month they'd have a new poem, and they'd put it in their advertisement. It's really, really kind of neat. And so the Phoebe Snow went from Hoboken, New Jersey, which is right on the Hudson River, right across is mid-Manhattan, and it went into eastern Pennsylvania. One of the big hubs for the Lackawanna was Scranton, Pennsylvania, and from there it went to Buffalo, New York, about 400 miles, and through some just absolute gorgeous terrain in the United States. And as a kid, when we would go visit relatives in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, we always had to stop at the Delaware Water Gap, and the Lackawanna always had on their publicity, they had a train going around, the Phoebe Snow, and it was around the curve, and you could see the Indian Head, and there was a big rock formation, and it looked like an Indian head, and very, very famous. And I know this morning number 2 and I was talking about wonder how many people actually go see that tourist destination today. I doubt very many, but it's still there. Now, what's significant is that number 2 was born and raised right in that area, about 12 miles away, in a little town called Bushkill. Now that's taken over by the Park Service, all part of the Delaware Water Gap
National Recreation Area.
National Recreation, and right on the Delaware River there. And so just a beautiful part of America. But this train that I'm modeling today is 1954, and it started at Hoboken, New Jersey. And if you were traveling at that particular time, if you lived in the city, you had choices to go to Buffalo, New York, which is 400 miles, which is it would take you by car at that time probably 8 to 10 hours, and that was a long ride. back then, because they didn't have the interstates, didn't have the New York Thruway, didn't have the Jersey. They were starting on the Jersey turnpikes and that. But anyhow, you would ride a ferry across to Hoboken, and you could go there. But they catered to the business people, and it was just really a nice train. And they modernized it. They used Pullman Standard and Budd cars, and but the model that I have and that I really like, and I remember as a kid, because when we'd go to the Delaware Water Gap, we'd always be around the track, and my sister and I would always have to stand, and we'd get a picture of the Indian Head, the silhouette on the mountain, and then the train track. Now, I have to admit, I don't remember seeing the Phoebe snow itself. I know I remember seeing trains come through, but the first time I was there, I think I was 7, and then 9 and 10, and we went every year. So, but I always liked the Phoebe snow of the Lackawanna. But it stopped at Hoboken, then it went to the Garden Spot of Newark, New Jersey, Summit, Cresco, Pocono, Summit, across the river, and went to Scranton. And number 2, it stopped at East Stroudsburg.
East Stroudsburg, yes.
And then went to Scranton, and Scranton had a absolute gorgeous train station. It's now the Marriott, and it's all part of Steamtown. That the government made a Steamtown USA National Park, or museum, or whatever you want to call it. If you ever get a chance, go to Scranton to Steamtown. And Scranton was a big industrial area, and then it went on into Binghamton, New York, and went to Syracuse, and went to Owega, New York, Elmira, and Elmira, it crossed the Erie, and Elmira was famous. They used to always say Elmira, where the Erie never slept. And went to Corning, and then Bath, New York, and then into Buffalo. It took 8 hours and 15 minutes. It was 400 miles, and it averaged 48 miles an hour, and with 18 stops. And if you understand the terrain, I mean, this is all mountains, and it's just really just gorgeous, just really gorgeous. Yeah, when it finally got past Elmira, there it had become a little flatter through the Finger Lakes area of New York. But anyhow, it was still a beautiful ride. Typically, the train, this train, left at 9 a.m. and it got into Buffalo at around 6 o'clock, 5:50, and so it was a day trip. And the Lackawanna was very, very proud of this train, and that was their flagship train. Now, the model that I'm going to show you is the westbound. And what's different about the eastbound and the westbound was that they added 2 sleepers, maybe more depending upon the heavy. And when it got to Buffalo, they handed those sleepers over to the nickel plate, and it went on to Chicago or all points west. Coming back, the eastbound from Buffalo, it didn't have any sleeping cars, and they probably put it on the sleeping cars coming out of Chicago from the nickel plate. Nickel plate and Lackawanna were trading partners for passenger and also for freight. So number 2, let's back up a little bit and take a look at what I have here for an engine. Now, what typically pulled the Phoebe snow in the 50s all the way into the 60s was E8s, and the famous is number 811 and 810. They pull that all the time, and what I have here, these are Broadways. They had head-in equipment, but not that much, because it was, the whole purpose of this train was it was passengers and it was once again their flagship. We have an RPO, which is an old Raviosi, and then we have a baggage, and then it was heavy coaches. The train that I have here is 12 cars typically. The Phoebe was from 10 to 14 cars on the westbound, depending upon here again the traffic. But these are Rapido cars and Pullman Standard coaches, and they offered also a lounge car that was once again to make the passengers just as comfortable as possible. And this happens to be a brass car. And then they had a Bud Diner, and they had a full diner, and which they served really outstanding meals. And today this diner still survives, and it's on a dinner train in upstate New York. The westbound train, as I said, they had 10 6s, some 10 5s. The sleeping cars, and these are the ones that were transferred to the nickel plate. And once again, if you lived, let's say, in northern New Jersey or in eastern Pennsylvania, and you wanted to go to Chicago, you hopped on the Lackawanna. And businessmen loved the Lackawanna because it was a smooth ride, beautiful scenery, and just beautiful equipment. Now, they had an observation car. They had 2 of these, and one is 790 and 789. Now, this observation car is very unique, and it is still running on Metro North. And this was a premier seating, and if you could take a look at the end of that. Now that car is scratch built, and you just don't see any Phoebe Snow observation cars, and it's just an absolute gorgeous car. And how I actually got this car, and I'm gonna grab it here and just show you this car. I was doing a train show in Atlanta, Georgia, and a guy had this on his little display that he had, and I says, "Hey, where did you get this car?" And he says, "Well, I made it." And he was a retired police officer living in Columbus, Georgia, and right off the top of the head, I forget his name, and if you're watching, I apologize. But I asked him if he could make me one. He says no, he didn't want to do it. Well, anyhow, I convinced him to make a car, and he says, I need 3 Walters cars, and I want them brand new. So I gave him 3 Walters cars, and this is what I got about 2 months later. And it is just absolutely a gorgeous car, and I'm really proud. It's lit, it's got people in it, and it is just my pride and joy for the Lackawanna Phoebe Snow. And so what I wanted to do and accomplish with this train was, number one, I wanted it to be accurate, and this westbound is really it's spot on. Now, one of the things that people ask me all the time is that, how do you know so much about these passenger cars? Is number one, I belong to all these historical societies. You've heard me promote these historical societies. It's absolutely essential that you join your favorite railroad's historical society. And come on, guys, it's $30 to $35 a year for most of them. You get 4 magazines. You spend more than that on a dinner. And so you support the Historical Society, and they need members. And so magazines now, for a year's subscription, cost that much. Plus you get a bunch of stuff from these historical societies. So make sure you join your favorite historical society. And once again, this Lackawanna Phoebe snow is, and if number two, you can kind of pan this train. And once again, this is a train from my childhood that ran from Hoboken, New Jersey to Buffalo, New York. And number two,
I won my fame and wide acclaim for Lackawanna's splendid name by keeping bright and snowy white upon the road of anthracite.
and that's the Phoebe snow. And you know what? That's the way it is at the world famous Jacksonville Terminal Railroad Museum in beautiful Jacksonville, Florida, where the sun always shines and running trains is always a pleasure.